Welcome to the Tune In Radio U podcast. I am your host, Ruth, and with me today, I have the superwoman transformational coach, that is Catherine Pulitano. Kat is a transformation coach that uses energetic healing, intuition, Reiki, Pilates, counseling, yin yoga, or does yin yoga classes separately, I imagine, to support you in your transformation. And apparently, Kat has a pretty incredible transformation story herself. Kat, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on my podcast. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your stuff with me.
Thank you so much for having me here. I feel really grateful to be asked by you. So I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's like, who knows? It's like a choose your own adventure with this stuff with me. So I'm always open and up for it. I hope you are. Okay, so first things first, I always ask this question first, get all the important stuff out of the way. What is it that you like to do for fun?
Oh, geez. That's one of my, I don't even know if you would classify it as fun. I love getting up and I love walking the coast. Like for me, that's, and catching up with a friend and having amazing conversations while literally being in the moment and just having the ocean to the right of me and amazing conversation to the left.
Yep.
I think my ideals of fun as I get older have really changed. And also, I think for me, also with my girls, like hanging with my kids and remembering they remind me to be silly sometimes because I can be the, mumsy that takes life a little bit too seriously sometimes. So, just being an idiot.
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah, they know how to have fun, that's for sure.
They do. Biggest teachers.
Absolutely. Awesome. I'm a massive ocean lover myself. It's just so grounding, just brings you back, doesn't it? It's like whatever's going on, you could be going off in your head out there somewhere. You go to the ocean, just straight back in.
Yeah, it makes you super grateful that you can literally walk and just be there. And some people dream about in their life seeing the ocean one day.
Oh, I know, right?
And it always reminds me how insignificant I am in the scheme of life. I'm like this dot. Yeah. And at any point, this ocean can decide to take over. It brings you back to that reality of, you're just this one little, what do they call? What's that saying? You're this drop. You're not a single drop. You're a whole ocean kind of thing.
Yeah.
However it goes.
Yeah. So you're a transformation coach, right? Yeah. Okay. So because I get a lot of coaches on here, I'm just like either I'm naturally drawn to them or this podcast naturally attracts them, whatever it is, right? I'm super grateful for every guest that I have because every single one has taught me and shared some incredible information with myself and obviously my listeners. But there's always that story of the coach, that background, like coaches always come from, like significant sort of trauma backgrounds. And then, they go through that transformation themselves, and come out the other side and go, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't know I could feel this way. I need to share this with the world, or I need to share this with as many people as possible. I want to know what your transformation story is. I want to know where you came from to make you who you are today.
The one thing, so as much as I like, I guess we throw that word coach around a lot, don't we? But I guess more of a teacher, as in, for me, when you say that there's it started really young. And I mean, I want to do a whole book about this, growing up in a European family. So I think that is both beautiful and damaging, and both love and hate, and both control and, you know, and then conditions and not condition, like all these things. So I guess growing up in one of those families where, you know, typical grandparents move from, you know, overseas, and then the story they continue for the rest of their life is we need to prove something to people why we're here and why we deserve to be here, and how that just snowballs into, you know, everyone else. And I guess, you know, typical family, 3 kids, I was the youngest, some sexual abuse from at a young age. I think I learnt after having lots of healing, because I've been on this healing journey for 12 years since, or actually longer, doing the work, I call it, on an energetic level, 12 years, but been on this journey since I was 17, and I'm now 44 this year. And basically, yeah, I worked out after having all these therapies that I was actually 8 the first time. And, you know, growing up in a European family, you just zip it. Like, you do not talk about that. You don't talk about anything. You don't talk about your period. You don't talk about it. Everything's shameful and everything's taboo. So I carried that till I think I was 17 by myself. I was a kid. And it wasn't until I understand the magnitude of it was until my daughter turned 8. And I thought, she's like a baby. She's a baby. She can't even make decisions for herself. So that was, I think, the first time because you go through stages of even blame of yourself and things like that. So when I was 17, how it transpired in my life, or how I manifested that trauma, was I ate. And then I also had a family that it was just all about work. And, you know, just I was alone a lot. So in my head, because I was so in my head about, you know, what was going on in my life, I ate when I was alone, and I would usually eat to the point of crying, and then I would do the cycle all over again. And it wasn't until I got older and I understood somatic work and the body and trauma that we all have something to numb a feeling, because we've never been taught how to regulate our emotions, or even that they're okay in the first place. So my friend was the cupboard or the fridge, and it was literally mindless. So it's like an out of body experience, but also realizing that was my way of protecting myself from being appealing, attractive, and all those things on a subconscious level, not even consciously. So I got to 17 years of age, and, you know, I was seen in the family as just being an angry, or I remember being this young, vivacious child that was the dancer, the actress, the singer, the little light. And then really, I remember the light just went out. But no one asked me what was going on. Like, I wasn't seen at all. Like, I think one year I put on like 25 kilos, and not one person in my family said, "Are you okay?" It was just like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" Like, you know, there wasn't like, how do you say, now I have this understanding that if that happened to one of my children, I'd be like, what's going on here? I need to dig a little bit deeper and understand if there's something going on, or communicate. So at 17, I was about 18, I was 130 kilos. I'm 5'2", to put it in perspective. So I was a size 26, and I was completely suicidal. I was ready to check out. I would wake up every morning just going, what the fuck am I doing here? And I was so disconnected. I didn't even know how I felt about anything. But I always knew, it's really weird, as much as I was in that darkness, there was something in me that always said, this can't be for no reason. I can't be here for no reason. And so eventually I actually my brother actually got it out of me what had happened to me young. And then the process started of, I was no longer just looking at the symptoms of me, which was weight. I was actually starting to address causes. And I thought once I opened my mouth, it would be all over. Great, great life. But it was just the beginning. You know, you undo that lid, and it was psychologists. I remember walking into a sexual abuse centre for counselling. And I remember this relief because everyone sitting there was obese. It was the first time I went, oh, I'm normal. Like, I'm actually not a disgusting human being. This is like normal. And obviously from the weight came bullying. So it was like this, you're like being in a washing machine. So I started my journey and I started to lose weight. At first it was just like I could only walk 20 minutes. And, you know, people often ask me now, how come you never put it back on? And I went, because and I look at society now and we're such quick fix, you know, or let's just cut that out. Let's just cut your stomach out and then, you know, we'll deal with that and then deal with the rest later. And I always say, because there was nothing like that around for me. I had to dig deep. But I wanted to as well. Like, as much as there was a part of me that wanted to not live, there was this little light that was smouldering still, if that makes sense. And I was always very empathetic as a child. I was extremely sensitive, and I always gravitated towards either the disabled, or like I would cry just when I saw, you know, someone that was different. And I remember always being told that that was a bad thing. And then slowly, the journey just kept going. And so I shed this weight. But the interesting thing that happened was I still wasn't happy. Because it's such a deeper, you know, you would know yourself, with trauma, it is so multifaceted and so multi-layered that I feel like my biggest breakthroughs have been in the last 3 years. You know, after I lost all my weight, you know, did the typical, went overseas, then wanted to make up for lost time, you know, got married someone that was safe, had children, did all those things, because it wasn't until years later I went, I just wanted those things to fit in. I just wanted to belong with my family finally. I wanted to be like everyone else. And now I so don't want to be like anyone else. You know, like, so I did all these things and went, I'm still unhappy. So lost all this weight, had 2 kids, left my marriage, and then went, you know, I was in the fitness industry as well. So I gravitated towards that, constantly wanting to help people. And then I went and had surgery. So I had skin surgery to remove all my skin because, you know, I'll be more desirable if my body's perfect. And if I have no skin on me and, you know, I don't have skin on my breasts and have these implants and stuff. And the most interesting thing happened. I had this surgery and it cost me 30 grand of savings. And after it, I was like, you've got to be fucking joking. I was like, I'm still not perfect. There's so much more that I need to change. And now I'm starting the journey to have my implants removed. That's how much I've grown. And, you know, I really realized after I separated that I had this gift. I think I've always known of being very highly intuitive and being able to read people's bodies. And, you know, I never say that I'm a healer, although people say that. I say I hold space for people to heal themselves because I can't do it for anybody. And I would go through every single bit of trauma all over again if it if it got me to arrive exactly where I am sitting here with you. And to the people that are drawn to me, that I watch have these aha moments where they know that they can be self-empowered and that they're in control of the path that they're on. Or just to have someone sit there and cry in front of you and go, this is the first time someone's seen me, and they're like 45 years old. So, you know, I could go even deeper, but that's in a nutshell. That's, you know, trauma is both traumatic and so beautiful. I don't know, you know, if you can even put those words together, like it makes me emotional to go, there is so much beauty in chaos.
Well, it's part of nature, isn't it? It's like you can't have one without the other. Like, you know, there is chaos out in nature when there's, you know, these tidal waves and freak storms and like all this, you know, bushfires and all the rest of it. But from that, once that is done, you get this beautiful new growth, like this fresh, new, young growth, you know, where life can begin again.
You know, I think you just hit the nail on the head. You know, we often look at things and become a victim to our circumstance instead of looking and taking responsibility is a big one. Because we all want, we're taught, we're conditioned to like sit below the line. We're conditioned to be depressed. We're conditioned to blame everyone else for our life. We're brought up to care what people think. And I love that there is a shift, because really at the end of your life, it doesn't matter what partners you had, what children you have, the only person that's responsible for the story you leave behind is you. And it's, if you don't like the fucking story, change it. And I think that's the beauty about every 24 hours is you can write something new the next day.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Like you do. You have the opportunity to start again every day. Every day.
And every decision, or I feel like a lot of the work that's happening now with me and with people is, you know, it's like when people walk in, I say, just go. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, just dump. Let's just get it all out. But where do I start? Wherever you want to start. But I also need to know, to understand the person in front of me, I need to understand the journey of the person. Because then we can piece together the jigsaw puzzle together. We can understand why you do the things that you do. And majority of the time, we need to rip out the inner girl or the inner boy and the child, because most of the time the child's running the show. The child with the unmet needs, the one that's throwing the toys out the pram, is leading us in life.
Yeah, so true. It's literally a society right now with adults that look like adults, but really are fucking children.
I say that all the time. Yeah, everyone's just a bunch of children walking around with adult clothing, making decisions from that wounded child.
Yeah.
And that's why things are going on the way they are right now.
Yeah.
Because we teach children to chase things. We teach them to chase the title or the, you know, the hierarchy, and the higher up the ladder you get, the better you are, instead of teaching them that actually who you become is the most important thing in your life, not what. Like who. You can have the title as well, but who are you with the title?
Yeah.
What if it gets taken away from you? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. For those people that might be listening that are maybe new to all this kind of stuff, like, can you talk about what somatic experiencing is, or the somatic
Yeah, absolutely.
Work?
So I've done, heaps of the talk therapy and all that kind of stuff. And it was last year that I learnt that about somatic work, because I'm always like wanting to learn new things. And, as always, it just falls in your lap. Something presents and you're like, okay, then I got this. And I kept having problems with my neck. And I was working at my sister's cafe and someone goes, oh, Lana, she's a chiro. And I was like, oh, okay, really? Wow. I need her in my life right now. She needs to crack my neck. And she gave me this form. And sorry, I'm just going to move my puppy. Stop it. And she gave me this form and said, it said all these questions like, have you had trauma in your life? Have you had any abuse, sexual abuse? And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this lady. And the funny thing is, she said to me, when I walked in, she goes, I need to apologise to you. And I said, oh, why? And she goes, you must think I'm such a weirdo. And I went, I'm so excited because I'm a weirdo too. This is like, no chiro ever asks you about your trauma. They just crack your back. That's what I thought. So somatic work is this gentle work where it literally is this way of healing the nervous system. So, when, I don't know, you've probably experienced, and I think anyone that's listening would have experienced this, where, you think that you've gotten over something that's happened to you in the past, but then next thing you are either in this scenario that triggers you and this response in you, and you just think, it's this familiar feeling of trauma, or you clench up, or so how she explained it was, it doesn't matter how much we talk about things. The body has a memory and the body stores trauma. So obviously for me with the sexual stuff, there was a lot of trauma there, and especially my psoas. So the psoas is known to be one of the muscles that hold so much trauma. So I started having this work done, and after every session, literally it was like a tsunami of emotions for 48 hours. But the great thing was I was so open that my body just, every time she worked on me, my body was ready and it trusted her. So I think a lot of people can get to the 7-year mark where I have clients only Monday, and I said, look, you can keep coming here. Absolutely, because we do some great work together and we can do Reiki and all those things. However, I feel you're ready for some somatic work. I feel you're ready to go. And I think that also makes you a good practitioner or coach, is to also know your level of what you can hold, and also to have all these other outlets of collaboration, so to speak, where you can really help someone on their whole journey. So the somatic is really important. Some people, like I said, will get to 7 years and go, I've been talking about this for 7 years. And a lot of the time what we're doing when we're re-talking about the same thing is we're re-traumatizing ourselves. So how do we let it go? And, somatic is about teaching the body to let go, rewiring those pathways so that the nervous system can be clear and you're not operating from reaction. And then when something does happen, those old memories have been released from the body. It's just new stuff.
Yeah, one book that I've read that I recommend to anyone to have a read is of The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk.
You're the third person in 2 weeks that's told me about that book.
So you haven't read it?
No.
You obviously need to.
Write it down. Yeah.
Yeah. Done. Beautiful. Yeah, let me know what you think of it. I thought it was brilliant. It was so informative. because he's been doing this work. He primarily kind of started working with Vietnam vets with severe PTSD. And they were just like, these veterans were pretty much cast aside for a long time because people had no idea how to help them, right? It was like, well, they're fucked, really. Let's just throw some money at them and
Give them a pension.
I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Like, don't know what else to do with them. Sorry, but that's it. And then he started working with them and he started using different techniques to try and help them. And he's got like thousands of studies, of case studies of people that he's worked with and gone from severe PTSD, and not just Vietnam vets. Like, he started getting all sorts of people with, kids that were sexually traumatized, by adults and all that sort of stuff, that turned into adults themselves and then were completely destroying themselves because of the trauma, as you well know, and just everything in between when it comes to trauma. Like, he's just had so many different case studies where he's taken this person, done this beautiful work, like using different techniques, and then these people have come to the other side of their healing journey, just completely changed their lives, like just completely changed, new people, like, off drugs, off the medication, like getting rid of addictions completely that were kind of holding them together because they had nothing else, like, and starting new relationships and having healthy ones, with other people, and just having healthy relationships within themselves. And it was such an eye-opener for me to read this book. Like, I didn't really know much about it before then. And I know quite a bit more about it now. And I'm sure quite a bit of, like, from your personal experience, people you've worked with, but just to really get like, just the different techniques as well that he's used, are just, really, really mind-blowing stuff. Because for so long we have used things like talk therapy that sure might help for certain things, but when it comes to like trauma, like deep-seated trauma that most of us have, let's be honest, like most of us has some fucking trauma that we haven't dealt with.
100%.
To be able to, actually utilize some techniques using somatic experiencing, using EMDR, using, integrated trauma therapy, using body work, like all these different techniques.
So many, isn't there? Like breath work, there's
breath work, yes.
Psychedelics, there's, all these different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's incredible. And they're only just now kind of coming up to the surface because more and more people are hearing about it and going, I really need to get rid of my shit. Like, and like myself, talk therapy, psychologist for years. And within the space of like 3 months of seeing, I don't know if you probably know Holly Loxton.
She was at our last workshop. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 3 months of seeing her, like, integrated so much trauma. I've just changed, and just this year where I've just like any kind of new modality that has come into my
Sphere.
I've just gone, yep, I'll do that. Yep, I'll do that. I've just been like this voracious kind of like, I will do everything. I just on this big learning curve, and all of that in the space of a year in comparison to years of counseling and psychologists and all that sort of stuff that really did fucking nothing. I was just reliving and going through the same patterns of behavior over and over and over again with my relationships, with addictions, with all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, in the space of a year, just incredible. Just incredible. I just feel like everyone fucking needs to know about this stuff, because
Oh, 100%.
we have used talk therapy for way too long and with very minimal fucking results.
But also, it's like we live in a society that wants to put a Band-Aid on everything.
Oh, yeah, quick fix.
I'll give you a
Yeah.
pill. Let me give you something. You're depressed. Let me give you something. Instead of going, tell me about your life.
Yeah.
Like if every single person that walked into, or I always used to say, you know, movement for me, when I started exercising, when I was really big in movement, oh my, it just changed my whole relationship with myself. Each time I move, I connect. Each time you move, you also release something from your body. And I used to say, why don't the government give depressed people gym memberships first? Why don't they put them in? I was like, that's free therapy. You know, and unfortunately, it's like you're saying, I feel like now with people like you sharing these kind of things, or people like me starting to have a bit more courage to put themselves out there on social media platforms, which is still pretty scary for me, really is showing people that you have to really get curious and not follow the crowd sometimes. And you really have to be like, just constantly be curious about, there's got to be another way, you know. And the body work stuff is, like you said, psychologists for how many years, like just dishing out the money, going here, and you'd walk out and just go, I don't even remember what we talked about. Like, I don't know, what even was that? Do I feel any better? Not really. I actually just go, I still don't know why I do the things I do. And it is, I think it's a real breath of fresh air at the moment to be able to not have these, because these, like what you said, the body keeps the score. How long ago did this man do this work? Like, these kind of modalities have been around such a long time, but it's like, it doesn't make anyone money. So why would we talk about it?
He literally says in the book that it was, I don't know if it was like in the 80s or 90s, where he had research, he had peer-reviewed papers ready to go. He went to the psychological board and showed them his research. He's like, look, peer-reviewed studies. And they're like, yeah, nah.
That, because that's way too scary. Because then what happens to the Western stuff? You know, as opposed to, I mean, I studied Chinese medicine. I have like so many tools in my toolbox, by the way, jack of all trades.
Awesome.
And I remember going, you should never, as a Chinese practitioner or any other Eastern philosophy, bag Western philosophy, because they both have a place.
Sure. Yeah.
And I believe Eastern, like what you're talking about, is a preventative. Western comes in when it's too late. That's the way I've always seen it. Western is, you're fucked. We need to like batter your body with something. And Eastern philosophy and all these modalities, like this, you know, man, and the body keeps the score, is, why can't we coexist? Why can't you embrace that?
Yeah, well, we should be able to. Absolutely. I think we'd be much better off if we did.
We are in 2021, so you would think so.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Okay, on that, let's delve into that a little bit. What do you think is going on right now in the world?
Oh my God, I don't have enough cacao for that. You know, this is one of those times where really I'm like literally surrounded by people that probably think the way I see it's crazy. You know, I think it's a great awakening. I think I've always felt like it's never scared me. It's never scared me. Like, it's never scared me, and I've never gone, oh my God, my kids, they're going to have such a shit life, because I know that they planned this. I know my kids are meant to be here for this because they have their own healing modalities to give. Lots of people will stay asleep, but a lot of people are starting to wake up. And I feel it's you either wake up to connect with yourself, or you're just going to be literally surviving your life and never really understanding basically what's unconditional love, what is accepting everybody the way that they are, having your own mind, like literally starting to question, are my beliefs mine, or are they my parents? Or are they the religion that I grew up in as well? Because that was like beaten into me. So am I just too scared to speak my truth and have an opinion on what I feel? Because I think that's what we all are. We're just a collection of our perception in life. So me and you could be walking down the street together on the coast, having our coast walk, and something happens and your perception is so different to mine. But I also think that's what makes us so unique and beautiful. But it is really, our experiences are determined by what our environment is like on the inside. So, you know, when this all happened, the people that I know that are already fear-based and think the world's ending and it's just like a shit place, the world just got shitter. Can I say that? Shittier. And it was like, oh my God, I can't deal with this, and I'm just going to lock myself away. And, you know, it's now caused us to be scared of touch, which is as humans, or, you know, we need that the most. Yeah. And belonging. We no longer have a village to raise our children. We're alone, we're isolated. And then this happens. And basically our freedom is in the hand of everyone else's. We don't even have a say anymore right now. That's the reality. So for me, I'm not scared. Like, for me, I keep saying it's a cold, guys. Like, it's another cold. And yes, I know people have died, but people die every year from influenza too. And they die from so many other diseases we don't want to talk about because of bad health, stress, bad food, trauma. So it is like, you know, and I think I've done a good job with my daughters as well. They're not scared either. Can you hear that? Oh, that was a paw stuck in a door.
Chicken.
Oh, possum.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I mean, what do you, am I allowed to ask you?
Of course. Yeah, it's a conversation. It's all good. Yeah. What do you
think about what's going on in the world?
Yeah, well, you're probably the first guest that's asked me, because I ask everyone that's on here what they think is going on. I think there are a ruling elite class of people that want the rest of us placid, docile, and less of us to so that enough of all the things that we need, so like food, water, all that kind of stuff, there's enough to go around for them. They want less of us so that there's enough of that stuff for them, and enough of that sort of stuff like food, water for the people that they need to keep the world running, right? So they need their workers. They need, what's that? Sorry?
A depopulation.
Yeah. I really feel like, especially what's happening now, there's that agenda going on. There's a depopulation agenda going on. And if you look at people like Bill Gates, his thoughts, he's actually not afraid to talk about depopulation and the fact that he believes that we're overpopulated and that there should be a lot less of us. And the fact that he's like really pushing the jab, a jab that is hasn't been tested. We are literally the control group to see what happens when people take it. So if you look deeper into a lot of this stuff, and if you don't just look at what the news is telling you, then there's a lot of things that kind of start to fall into place and make more sense. If you look at Bill Gates's dad, he was all about eugenics and depopulation. So it obviously runs in the family. And yeah, like they just, this ruling class just wants enough people on the planet so that things can keep running. They want their workers. They want their little placid sheep doing their work so that they can have a wonderful life for them. But fuck really everyone else. And that's, I don't know, it might be extreme for some people, but after all the things, all the research that I've done, and I've done a lot of it over the years, that stuff makes sense to me, and I think this COVID thing is a massive scare tactic. It's always been, over the years, there's always been something that mainstream media has put across to the masses to keep us in fear. There's always been something, whether it's terrorism, and now it's COVID, and it used to be the Germans, and it used to be whatever else. Like there's always an enemy. And that is to keep us under control, because when they have you in fear, you will do exactly as you're told so that you stay safe. Right?
And it all comes back to somatic work too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's all
so like people are just walking around scared. You just have to sneeze in the shop and someone like jumps 1,000 feet. It's like, man, it's like it's a sneeze. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're 100% right. It's all about control and money, unfortunately.
They're just some really scared child adults ruling the world that have their own trauma that they haven't dealt with, and therefore we are getting the repercussions of that.
100%. They're just toilet trained.
Yeah, literally. Basically. I can't even imagine what kind of trauma these people have gone through. Fuck. Yeah, they're willing to do what they're doing to the world, like what they're doing now. I can't even begin to imagine what kind of trauma these people have gone through.
And see, you can look at that, so I can look at the person and go, hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
But other people don't see that.
No.
And so it's like, hurt people.
Yeah.
But you can't be ignorant either. You have to actually, everyone goes, oh, but I'm only one person, I can't make a difference. Yeah, you can. Every single one person can make a massive difference.
I fully believe that that the best way that we can make a difference individually is by healing ourselves. We therefore, by doing that, raise our own vibration. That vibration then is a ripple effect. People around you start getting that, starts to raise their vibration. People around them starts to raise their vibration, so on and so forth. That's how this shit spreads.
Yeah.
Just like negativity can spread, the opposite can spread as well.
Agree.
Yeah. What do you think the purpose of life is?
Oh my God.
Just some light.
Okay.
Some light. Yeah.
I actually think, I really do believe we choose to come. into different times of life. The purpose is to grow and learn different lessons each time. It is to bring a different version of yourself each time to contribute to life. I believe we even choose the people in our life in this lifetime. I
Like
always
our
say,
parents and stuff.
yeah,
Mm.
like you signed up for this shit. So if you can look at life like that, you can accept so many things. Like, I say to my clients, I go, if you look at yourself as the director and you are writing this movie, and before this movie, you chose all the characters, and throughout your life, these characters will come in and out, and some have this big part, and some are a fleeting role, and they come in and out, and you learn these major lessons and they leave you, or some stay with you a time until you can't grow from that anymore. And knowing that you're the director, you get to choose to change the actors and actresses whenever you choose. That's how I see life. I really see life as an experience that you signed up for. I don't know. Lots of people listening probably think, I don't think there's multiple lifetimes. Whereas, I believe that you're here over and over again. And each time, that's why I say to people, when people go, God, kids are so smart these days. I'm like, no shit, they've been here so many times. We just arrive and then forget who we are.
Yeah.
And then we get it bashed out of us, or, we get our family's beliefs drummed into us, and then we spend the rest of our journey unbecoming all those things. And hopefully at the end of your life, you're standing there going, I'm authentic. I'm me without needing anything to define me. I just am. I've lived my life authentic. And that's my only wish for myself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that. I think that's one of my underlying themes at the moment, or just from, I guess, this past year forward, is to be 100% unapologetically me, without all the filtration and all the prettiness and like the polished stuff. I feel like people need to see raw, like they need to see that and know that it's okay, and better than okay, it's like the best. It's the best way to be,
They're calling Perth the second Silicon Valley right now.
Perth, really?
Yeah.
Fuck, what?
And I was like, what? Little Perth is like called the next Silicon Valley.
Is that because of like influences and stuff, or what? What's the deal with that?
There's just so much like, big lips. Everyone's changing themselves from such a young age. There's so much alteration and plastic surgery and not like from a young age. It's everywhere. You just have to walk the coast down here. It's like, so I found that quite interesting. I think it was last week I heard in the background going, Perth is the second Silicon Valley. And I was like, wow. I knew it was like, pretty full on, but I didn't think we were up there.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty fucking crazy.
Especially when you're saying, you want to be real, and you want to be you and talk about things that that mean something to you without feeling like you need to, what do you call it, water yourself down.
Oh, yeah. It's that watering down that I feel like that's toxic, like it's toxic in a way, because people are like, it's that people pleasing, and that comes from trauma as well. It's like, don't make waves so that, you're accepted by everyone. Fuck that shit. Like, if people don't like you, they're not your people. It's very simple, Like,
I
it's
think
very
it comes with
simple.
age, doesn't it? With age and
Yeah,
with
absolutely. Absolutely, it
learning.
does.
I
But it
always
also,
say,
sorry, go on.
no, go.
I was just going to say, it also starts with parents teaching their kids, going like, if people don't like you, that's okay. Like, you send them love, you give them love, and then
Yeah.
you go find your friends. Like, it's cool. It's okay. It starts at
Instead
a
of
young age.
instead of, oh, don't worry, they're just like that. But you always be nice, even if they're not nice to you. It's like, fuck that shit. Like, there comes a time where you have to have self-respect and you have to trust your gut intuition. And if you feel alienated by people, like, don't put yourself in that environment. Be okay with saying, you're not my people.
Mm. Yeah,
And you're right, teaching your kids to, I say it to my girls all the time, oh, such and such was mean. I'm like, that's okay. You know what? Hurt people. Just send them love, exactly what you said. And you know what? Hang out with the people that do love you.
Mm.
But most of all, I always ask them, who do you love first in your life? And they would tell me, even now, Scarlett's going to be 13, me first, mum. And I go, I just want you to always remember you first. Not me, you first.
That's so cool. I love that so much. Ah, warm fuzzies. I love it. So for anyone that is starting to kind of wake up right now and they're fucking confused, they feel like they don't fit in, but they don't know where to fit, and they think there's something wrong, but they don't know what that is, like, what would be your best advice, I guess, for lack of a better word, for these people? Like, what would be the best thing that you would tell them, like how to look after themselves right now?
I think the first word that comes to me is be compassionate towards yourself. I think awakening and knowing that you need to make changes can come in the form of anxiety to start with, because you know that something needs to change and you know there's better for you. And it is also, this is not a race. The work is a marathon. It's slow, steady, it's 42 Ks. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And even if you take 5 steps forward and you feel like you've taken 2 back, you're still on the right track. We always think that, oh, I got off track. I also believe even the things that feel off track is still you on your path. It's just accepting that it's not always going to be seamless and smooth. And often, what do they say? The most beautiful things come under pressure. Diamonds come from pressure. They're compressed for such a long time, but at the end of that is just this most magnificent piece. And I think that just don't give up. And it is scary because you do have to stand alone a lot of the time, and people will fall away from your life that have meant so much to you. But I think they're falling away for a reason. And just to trust that, Steve Jobs says, and I always use this, he said this speech, and if anyone ever gets the opportunity to listen to his speech that he said to a group of students finishing university, and it's about don't give up on your dreams or until you feel like you fit in, and on yourself. But he says you can't join the dots looking forward. It's not till you get through it that you'll look back and the dots make sense. And you can join the dots of your life and go, okay, I understand why I had those lessons and those experiences. And when you're in it, you can't see the sun, so to speak, or you can see, these dark clouds. And a lot of the time, in the healing work, you feel like you're like battling dragons, and they're usually your own, inner dark night of the soul, whatever you want to call it. Is just go slowly. but really stay in your values and work out what those values are first. So you know that you're aligning to those values, not someone else's.
Yeah, that's spot on. Beautiful. I love that. And I love the fact that you mentioned, you know, you might lose people that meant so much to you for such a long time. But, and I know now, and I'm after losing many a person in my past, now I'm like, it's like I send them love and I'm like, wicked, like I've just made some free space for some fucking awesome wickedness, like wicked people. I wonder who it's going to be, and just like remain open to that, because like it's like dead wood falling to the side and making space for newness and for awesomeness, you
Because
know?
how nice is it for you, these new people that are going to come in, you retire those masks, so to speak, you know, the ones that you wear for all these different people in your life, and you can just show up like this. So, you know, you can meet up with these people, and it's just so freeing to go, I don't actually have to pretend to be someone I'm not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's so liberating, so freeing, so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, just hold on, guys. It's worth
Don't
it.
give up.
It's worth it. Kat, where can people go to find you if they want to work with you?
Okay, so on Instagram, I have a page called, there's one in my name, Catherine Pulitano, which is where it all started. But I've also opened a studio, which was a long dream of mine. It's just a small studio where I combine movement, yin yoga, and I hold workshops for women at the moment as well. And it's called Beyond Walls Studio. So that's on Instagram, and they can reach me there. And I do one-on-ones with people, obviously the Reiki work. And when people ask what to expect, I always say everyone's different. And you just come with an open mind and an open heart, and whatever presents is the direction we go in. And I also believe that, you know, like for you and others, is whoever's meant to be guided into your space, it's no coincidence. They'll find their way there when the time's right. So I'm not one of these people, you know, I get a lot when people come to see me and they go, how many sessions do I need? And do I need to come like next week? And I tried for a while to fit myself in this Western culture, and healing and a journey is just not linear. It's like, I want you to feel when you want to come.
Yeah.
There's no obligation to me.
Yeah.
You know, the obligation is to yourself.
Yeah. It's literally like realizing and remembering that you are nature. You know, you're not just part of nature, you are nature, and nature goes with the flow.
100%. And you're teaching people not to be dependent on you. You're teaching them to be able to do this shit on their own all the time and trusting themselves more.
Yeah.
I like to say people just come to me now that have been coming for years for like, what do you call it? Some tweaking.
Yeah, like a top up.
Yeah, a top up. Yeah. They might come twice a year or once a year as a top up, but there's no, you know, so, if anyone wants to, you know, come and see me, if they mention that they heard me on your podcast, I'll look after them too. So
awesome. All right. Wicked. I think that's a brilliant place to end it. What do you reckon, Kat?
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, mate,
I've actually loved it. Really nice to speak about real, authentic things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here for that, for sure. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to see me and to talk to me.
Thanks for having me.
I have no doubt people are going to love this. So thank you.
Thanks so much.